Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this is the first of a collection of videos that I'm going to do to highlight creators who are putting out a lot of amazing, great content. So I'm going to try to find my favorite videos amongst those videos, and of course you'll be able to find a lot more great videos that they put out. But this first one is about Ant's Barbecue Cookout. And if you haven't heard about him, I'll put a link to his information below. He is doing an incredible job. He's putting out artistic barbecue stories about barbecue joints across the United States. And I wanted to start with him because his intention is to highlight how much work and effort goes into what these barbecue joints are putting out, but he too is putting in the effort. I've talked to many people that he's visited and spent time with, and he's not just putting a couple hours in and putting a video together. He is spending hours and evenings and overnights filming and compiling all this content to put together these beautiful stories. So I've chosen 8 of my favorite ones that I wanted to highlight. I'll be showing little clips and videos from that, as well as some information from Ant himself about each specific place and why he chose that place and what made that place interesting to create a story about. But let's start off by finding out who Ant is.
I'm Ant from the Ant's Barbecue Cookout channel, and I've been making videos on YouTube for over 15 years on various channels. I've always loved filmmaking and acting since I was a kid growing up in the 90s, and I got into barbecue in the late of the year 2019. Let me say that again. I got into barbecue in late 2019. So my wife was expecting our first child in May of 2020, and something clicked and I became obsessed with barbecue. I started uploading on my YouTube channel weekly starting in February 2021. After a year of uploading, I became monetized, and in February of 2023, I was able to quit my accounting job and become a full-time content creator on YouTube. With my schedule free, it gave me an opportunity to visit friends that I had made on my YouTube journey. So Jeremy Yoder from Mad Scientist Barbecue and Johnny White from Goldee's BBQ, Ribby's, and Jerby BBQ. I tried posting documentary-style videos and sharing my visits with Jeremy and Johnny, and my audience really liked it. So much so that it opened up a door to visit more places and share their stories through my documentary series, Barbecue Story. Now, I hope to continue episodes of Barbecue Story because it gives an inside look at the hard work involved in running a barbecue restaurant and the beautiful stories of the people behind the best barbecue in the world. I'm happy to help the businesses that I feature, and I make real lasting connections with them and also with my audience on YouTube as I continue making the series. All right, first up, Redbird. So I went out to Redbird because of my contact with the guys at Goldee's. So I chatted with Amir, who's the owner of Redbird, on the phone before I went out to learn about his story, and I was really moved by the family aspect to his barbecue joint. Also, Cajun Texas style barbecue is pretty unique, right? And it absolutely lived up to the hype. It was so good.
Redbird BBQ. I want to go there so badly. They're in Port Neches, Texas. They're open Wednesday through Sunday starting at 11 a.m., but they definitely sell out, so make sure you get there early.
All right, Zeph BBQ. So I got in contact with Logan, the owner of Zeph BBQ, through both Jeremy from Mad Scientist Barbecue and Matt and Mike from M&M Barbecue Company. So both of these parties told me that I should do a barbecue story on Zeph, and I am glad I took their advice. I really like Logan. He's like a super chill guy, and the dishes at his spot are the best I've had anywhere. I still dream about the duck fat congee with confit potatoes. It was so amazing.
Zeph BBQ. They are located in Simi Valley, California. They are open on Saturdays for pickup. The orders go live on Wednesdays, and then sometimes they have a surprise Sunday. So make sure you follow everything they do online, and you can get to try their food, which is just fantastic.
All right, Goldee's. So I got the feature on Goldee's because I had been talking to Johnny, one of the owners at Goldee's, before they even made the Texas Monthly Top 50 list. So at the time we were both making YouTube videos, and through the year or so we had gotten along really well. So once I quit my day job to do YouTube, the first trip I booked was to Texas to finally give Goldee's a try, and it did not disappoint. It's still the best brisket I have ever had anywhere, and it was actually my very first time trying real Texas barbecue.
Goldie's BBQ, they're based out of Kennedale, Texas, which is essentially Fort Worth. They're open Friday through Sunday from 11 a.m. And from what I'm hearing, you should get there around 8 a.m., 7, 8 a.m. to make sure that you do get food. They do sell out. They're extremely popular.
All right, Heritage. So Heritage BBQ was actually just a straight up cold call. So I reached out to Danny, the owner of Heritage, on Instagram, and he was down to shoot with me. So it was amazing to see just how much passion Danny and his team have for barbecue and just food in general. They had so much pride in each customer's experience, and it really showed in the food. Absolutely fantastic. And it also showed in the success of the barbecue story video. So to this day, the Heritage BBQ story is my highest viewed video at almost 2 million views.
Heritage BBQ, they're in San Juan Capistrano, California. They're open Wednesday through Sunday from 11 a.m. and they do stay open till 7 or 8 p.m. They will sell out of some items, and the weekends for sure they will. But if they say they're open till 7 or 8, you will be able to get some of their food up until that time.
So Moosecraft BBQ. So this was also a cold call as well. So I was planning a trip to California to visit family, and so I reached out to Andrew and Michelle, who are the owners of Moosecraft BBQ on Instagram, and they told me to come down. So this was actually the very first episode of Barbecue Story. Right? My Goldee's one was more of like a pilot episode, and the experience I had at Moose was fantastic. Michelle and Andrew were great, and the food is the most authentic to Central Texas barbecue in California. The ribs, brisket, and sausage are incredible.
Moosecraft BBQ, they're based here out of Los Angeles, California. It's actually in an area called Lincoln Heights, an area that Michelle Munoz grew up. They're open Thursday through Sunday from noon until 7 p.m. or sold out, and they definitely do sell out.
Bar A BBQ. So I reached out to Cooper, the owner of Bar A BBQ, because it was actually recommended to me from Raul. So Raul's one of the owners of Ray's BBQ, and this conversation happened when I was out at Ray's BBQ shooting a barbecue story for them. So Raul asked me if I had ever heard of Bar A, and when I looked them up on Instagram, I was blown away at how awesome the food looked. Like, just from the visuals of the food, I knew I had to get out there and do an episode. So while I was out there, I just saw this amazing story that I was like, dude, this story is going to crush on YouTube. But honestly, Cooper, the owner, did not see the vision. He thought he had no story, but I kept assuring him. I said, you won't ever have a slow day after this video hits, and as far as I know, I haven't been wrong since.
Bar A BBQ, they're based out of Montgomery, Texas, which is an hour or more northwest-ish of Houston. They're open Tuesdays through Sunday from 10:45 a.m. On Saturdays, they open at 8 a.m. As of the recording right now. They're way up on my list of wanting to visit there.
All right, Dampf Good BBQ. So Dampf Good was another recommendation from Raul from Ray's BBQ. I had never been to North Carolina, which from my understanding is like the birthplace of barbecue. So when we set up my visit, I told him we had to do Carolina style whole hog, which Nick, the owner of Dampf, agreed. Now, what shocked me about Dampf was just how huge the menu was. And on top of that, how good each of the items was. You know, everything was so incredibly well made. And Nick is a really great guy. Loved my time with him and his family and also his crew.
Dampf Good BBQ, they're based out of Cary, North Carolina, which is just west of Raleigh, North Carolina. They're open Thursdays through Saturdays from 11 a.m. till sold out, but try to get there early because they do sell out.
All right, now on to BarbcueBrooklyn. So I'd watched the Munchies video on BarbcueBrooklyn, and I always wanted to go out there and try it out. So the food is so amazing. Like, I love the way Ruben, the owner, seasons his food. The Dominican Texas barbecue fusion really works, and the Dumbo area where Bark is located is so beautiful. It's right by the water, and you get like this crazy view, and it's like a lot of great places to walk. It's amazing. BarbcueBrooklyn will always be one of my favorite shoots of all time because I was able to take my wife and kids with me, and we just had such a great time with Ruben. I love that guy. It was my first time in New York City. It was amazing.
And BarbcueBrooklyn, they're out of Brooklyn, New York, every day of the week starting at 11 a.m. and they are open pretty late. So definitely check their social media.
All right, moving on to my process. Okay, so my process to create Barbecue Story is seriously ever evolving, right? Because I was an accountant for 10 years before I started doing these documentaries. I basically have no experience at all with this type of media, so I learned so much about producing every time I go out to shoot an episode. But the bare bones of what I do, right? Okay, so what I do is I film the operations of the restaurant for a few days, and then I sit down with the owner, do an interview, then I go home and I mash the footage together, and that's pretty much all there is to it. All right, the Barbecue Story name. So when coming up with a name for my series, I wanted it to do two things. So the first thing I needed was it to be catchy. And then the second thing I needed was I wanted it to represent what the series was all about. So Barbecue Story, it's basically the same amount of characters as the popular Disney franchise Toy Story. So criteria 1 check. And it also really captured what I wanted to share with the world through this documentary series, right? This series isn't about secret recipes or techniques or how the restaurants are doing whatever they're doing to be so successful. What it's really about is the people behind these recipes and techniques, and the story that drives them to open their doors and serve their communities every day.